And you have a title called, I mean, at least the Chinese fans call you the Martin version of Liszt.
Whoa.
It's
Yeah,
a very good compliment, but I think that suits you.
I love Liszt in the regard that it is something which is extremely free. It is uninhibited. It is sometimes can be even wild.
Right.
But at certain points can be also very poetic, can be very lyrical, and of course it's the visceral, physical fact of playing the piano in a quite an extreme way, in a way, which is something I enjoy. But I have to say, this is just, I think it's just part of me. Also enjoy, this middle piece was by Schumann, and that's for me is beautiful and touching and very sincere. And I love Beethoven. I love Russian music. Russian music is another big part of me. I'm very flattered. I'll try to.
People call you that, but
I think it's just one part of me.
I think people calling you that because very few people can do what you do, can play what you play. That's, extreme, just like you said.
Piano playing has advanced quite a bit. I think things which in the past were impossible are now difficult but possible for
Really?
us.
Why do you think so?
I don't know how to explain. We see students nowadays playing pieces which in the past were considered beyond the possibility of the greatest.
Because you did it. Most of us couldn't. So maybe it sounds possible to you, but I think
Some works by Beethoven and Mozart, they are as challenging and difficult as they were 200 years ago. And thinking of the greatest Beethoven sonatas, the last 3 sonatas, or the Hammerklavier, I don't think anyone in the world today would say that it's gotten any easier.
I mean, I didn't notice. I mean, before we saw people when they're performing have an assistant sitting right beside you to, do the work for you, to turn the page. But now it's like, I mean, technology help with that.
Helps a lot. You can use a little Bluetooth pedal. You can have your entire music library on your tablet.
Right.
So that's really helpful. You can put it inside and nobody notices. I have to say, for me, having the iPad during the performance was a life changer, because I realized when I started using it that being nervous before a concert had nothing to do with the concert itself, or whether it was a big hall or whether it was an important orchestra. Of course, we still play by heart. I think everyone who uses, we have to study it for weeks, months, sometimes years, and in the process it's inevitable that you learn it by heart. When you memorize, previously when I had to just brute force, it was not fun. It had nothing to do with interpretation. It had nothing to do with what I'd like the music to say to the audience.
Right.
It was just a chore which I had to dedicate hours daily to, and it helped the music not at all. So from that point of view, I'm really happy and it means I can spend this time thinking about music and working on the score and working on the musical performance, which is so much more important, because this is what the audience perceives. This is where we performers, interpreters, we have the opportunity of touching their hearts, of evoking some emotions or thoughts. This is the main thing, and to have the freedom to do this is
wonderful.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah, but well, you just mentioned you have to practice a song probably like months or years for the most challenging piece. I don't know, it's probably front list as well.
Some of them are, yes.
Yeah.
Some of them.
How long did you have to prepare before you go on stage?
So it depends very much on the piece. Interestingly, some pieces like Beethoven again, you can learn very easily and quickly, but the learning of the piece and the distance between learning and being able to play it in a mature way is very long. Sometimes just the process of ripening, you know, you practice it, you play it maybe a few times, you let it lie, you come back to it, it's like layers, and you slowly build up. And then at some point, hopefully you say, maybe I managed to get a glimpse of the truth in this music. Some pieces are very difficult technically, but in terms of music, they're very clear. And that means that once you've mastered the technical bit, you're basically ready to start performing it. So, and of course, there are every possible combination of the two.
Can you feel the music, like feel how the original writer of the song, what they're trying to tell people?
So this is
because I saw the facial expression on you, like
well,
sometimes happy, sometimes angry. I feel like you feel the music.
Maybe the facial expressions are not as important because I don't control them, so they just, whatever. But this, what you asked about trying to understand what the composer meant, this is one of the main things in our life. Because what we have is the German writer Hermann Hesse said it really beautifully. He said that the score, the music written down, is like frozen dreams. So the composer had something in their mind, and then they put it on paper the best they could. But this is already one step distant from what they had in mind. And we have stories of composers who, when they heard their own pieces, were upset or dissatisfied because they heard something else. So it means there was another version of the same piece, which they felt they did not succeed in writing down. So the score is already is like the next link in the chain. Then, when you as a performer, you get the score, you look at it, and you have something in your imagination, in your mind. That's the third link. And then you try as best you can to play
perform it.
But there already, sometimes you hear something, but you can't really make it work. And so the performance, the live performance, is sometimes already another link. And then finally, what the audience hears is a fifth step, because every one of us is different, and we come to a concert in a different mood, in a different stage of our life, and we all hear something different in the same piece. And I think it's one of the strengths of music, especially music that doesn't have lyrics, that we have a lot of freedom to hear in it whatever the music tells us. But that means that in the end, what the audience hears is at least 4 or 5 steps. And the question is only how truthful it sounds, how convincing it sounds, how compelling it sounds. It means there can be many truths, and they can all be valid. There is not a single mathematical truth in this. And it's only a question whether the way you bring it to life says something to the people, whether it can make them feel, it can make them think.
And I'm very curious, what if you made a mistake on stage, but since you're so good, probably no one could notice that. Did you improvise sometimes? Any situation that you can just tell us?
I cannot think anyone who never had any mistakes. It just,
Probably people couldn't tell.
But yeah, of course. So the idea is that you instantly realize what happens, and you know the score well enough that people shouldn't. But we all should be able just to keep playing for a few bars until you know your place.
Just correct it. During the practicing process, is it hard? I mean, probably, I heard people got their fingers injured or back injured, or a lot of,
We need to be aware of our body because we use it as to produce the sound, not maybe as extremely as a singer for whom the body is their instrument, but we still, playing piano is quite a physical thing. We are aware of the body, and if we are aware of the muscles, and if we keep the tension at 0, then no matter how many hours you practice, it's still at 0. It's like 0 multiplied by 12. So after a good day of practicing, what's tired is not your body, it's your brain, because of the concentration, because of the constant focus and having to think all the time.
And I also know that you start to learn piano when you were 5, and then you start to perform when you're 7. Did you get nervous when you're so young and you need to perform in front of hundreds of people?
I loved it. I loved performing much more than I loved practicing. It was practicing which I learned to enjoy much later in my late teens. But performing, that was the big fun, because you go on stage and you can play the music for the people. I loved it. My mom was a piano teacher, and my grandma was a piano teacher, and the pianist, my great grandma. So we have several generations in the family.
So you were 5 and you asked your mom to teach you?
We had always a piano at home. Like kids, sometimes I thought, why is there a piano at home? It is so that I played. I went to mom and said, Mom, could you teach me? And she said, no, because we have too many pianists in the family and you should be doing something else. Every 5-year-old who wants something really and who cannot get it, I was really stubborn. And I pestered mom for, I think, 3 weeks until finally she gave me the first lesson. We worked well together because she never was putting any pressure on me. The pressure was coming from me, if anything.
Oh my God, so you give yourself pressure only when you were 5? Like, I have to be very good.
Not pressure, but I'd say the drive to play, the impulse, the desire to play came from me. It was never that my parents made me.
But they must be very proud of you because you achieved more than them.
I think they're proud. I think they're also, like any parents, they're sometimes nervous for me, you know, anxious about how it's going, and there's a lot of travel involved, and sometimes very difficult schedules and big concert tours where you have 8 concerts in 9 days, each time in a different city. That can make you sometimes really on the edge of being really exhausted or overworked. But I find that being on stage gives energy back. It's a magical atmosphere. In the concert, you have something which is created between the audience, the music, the instrument, and yourself. It's like almost like a small world in which only you exist for these 2 hours. It's always my great hope for every concert that through the music, I'm able to help the audience forget their troubles for 2 hours and just be transported wherever the music wants to.
Yeah, I think you always have achieved that. I mean, the magical 1 or 2 hours. People love your music. People love how you perform and how you deliver the message of the music. So you did a great job.
I feel always that it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility towards the composer, towards the audience, in a small way also towards myself, you know, to maintain a good level. And to push yourself forward all the time, to try to improve between concert and concert, from year to year, from CD to CD. Because these pieces of music are, for me, among the greatest creations of humanity, of human spirit. They are endlessly rich. There never comes a point where you play a sonata by Beethoven and you say, I know everything. There's always more to discover. There's always another look that can be had, another angle. Which is why you see people playing the same pieces through decades of their lives, because we are in love with this music and we want to come back to it. And we always find new things in it. That's really awesome.
And we love to have you come back next time for the other concerts as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks.
别忘了订阅我们的频道，打开小铃铛就不会错过任何精彩内容，随时上架。我们下回再见，拜托哦，一定要敲下订阅键。